I was born in...
I was born in 1924.
1932.
1924.
I'm 102. I'm 104.
How long have I been a Cub fan? Since they began.
All of my life.
Big fan then, big fan now.
I've seen a lot of things in my time.
Oh, the waiting has been something terrible.
It's been a really long time.
I listen to them every day on my radio.
We had some poor teams.
I used to go to the old Cleveland Stadium.
One of the worst ballparks in the world.
Oh, 69 was a real heartbreaker.
The GOAT and all of that.
That stupid goat.
Why would you want to put the GOAT in the ballpark?
It would mean the very world to me if they won the World Series.
The Cubs can wait for another 100 years.
Well, I'm not getting any younger, that's for sure.
I pray that they will win. I'm damn sick and tired of waiting.
Waiting is the hardest part.
The waiting is almost over for one of these two very proud franchises as we get ready for Game 1 of the 2016 World Series on Fox. The Chicago Cubs and the Cleveland Indians. And now welcome inside the broadcast booth, everybody. I'm Joe Buck, the Hall of Famer. John Smoltz is coming right up. Well, let's talk about the Chicago Cubs. They were the game's best team in 2016. They won 103 games. They led from the beginning, basically, and hardly ever looked back. And they were created for the postseason in 2016. Theo Epstein taking over in the fall of 2011. The timeline was expedited when Joe Madden popped loose and they got him. So here they are, a favored team in this World Series, taking on a Cleveland Indians ball club that was good coming out of spring training, but one injury after another. And their best player, Michael Brantley, only played 11 games. And John Smoltz, they suffered big injuries in September. They lost their numbers 2 and 3 starters. It is impressive that they have gotten to this point. They are the underdog again, but they kind of like being in that spot.
They do, and they're not going to admit it, but maybe a small chip on their shoulder. This is a team that can't do it. You mentioned the injuries. You mentioned what they overcame. They lost their starters. Not supposed to beat Boston. Not supposed to beat Toronto. They did it with tremendous strategy. They embody their managers, fierce, competitive, and they used that bullpen. So for Cleveland, they had to overcome a lot. For the Cubs, they were built for this. Joe Madden has been preparing them for this journey. What a series this is going to be.
Yeah, it's going to be fun to watch this thing unfold. Meanwhile, as you look at this pitching matchup, this is how it should be, right? This is ace against ace, number 1 against number 1. John Lester, Corey Kluber.
Yeah, what the Cubs have is depth, and what they have is Lester, the hottest pitcher in baseball. You look at those numbers, it's going to be power fastball, power cutter against a guy, by the way, Cy Young Award winner. And if you like the ball to move, Corey Kluber's your guy. Slider curveball combination about as good as it gets.
Well, we can't wait. First pitch is coming up right around the corner. World Series game number 1 next on Fox. They say it waits for no man. Well, these teams have waited a combined 176 years since either has won a World Series. It's been 108 years since the Cubs won their last championship. 1908 was the year. Teddy Roosevelt, the president, and the Model T rolled off the assembly line for the first time. The Indians last won 68 years ago in 1948. Truman was president, and new styles and trends were embraced by the country. It's only a matter of time before one of them is champion again. Bringing you greater coverage of tonight's game. What's the weather tonight on October 25th? 50 degrees. Wind is in from center. No rain in the forecast tonight. Let's get out to the field and say hi first to Ken Rosenthal.
Joe, the World Series is starting off with a big surprise. Kyle Schwarber blew out his knee the first week of the season. Hasn't appeared in a major league game in more than 6.5 months, but he's in the Cubs lineup tonight, batting 5th as the DH. Schwarber said he might cry at some point after taking such a long road back, but the Cubs view him as an offensive freak, and Joe Madden said he could run into one very easily. Frankly, the Cubs' other lineup adjustment might be even more shocking. Chris Coughlin in right field for Jason Hayward, the $184 million man. Hayward looks lost. He's only 2 for 28 in the postseason. Coghlan has only 4 starts in October, 4 at-bats in October, but he had a good second half. Now, for a report on the pitcher who the Cubs will be facing, here's Tom Verducci.
Thanks, Ken. Well, the Cubs are facing not just one of the best pitchers in baseball, but one of the best pitches in baseball. The breaking ball of Corey Kluber, well, it's not easy to define, but you can call it a goodbye pitch because he loves to throw that pitch with 2 strikes, and when he does, hitters bat just .091 against that pitch. Kluber is so important to the Indians that manager Terry Francona intends to start him 3 times. Now, no pitcher has started games 1, 4, and 7 since Curt Schilling 15 years ago. Joe, the journey begins tonight.
It really does. Talking about the world champion Arizona Diamondbacks. How about the lineup for the Chicago Cubs? Joe Madden put pen to paper, came up with this. The top 3, Dexter Fowler, Chris Bryant, and Anthony Rizzo. In the middle at 4, 5, and 6, it's Zobrist, the surprise of Kyle Schwarber, and Javier Baez. And then at the back end of it, Chris Coghlan, Addison Russell, and David Ross. Well, 2 #1 starters going at it tonight. And it's not a long list across baseball of legit #1 starters anymore. Glad you're with us. Ball 1 to Dexter Fowler, and we're underway in the 2016 World Series.
Well, Kluber's got that 2-seam fastball, 4-seam fastball. Some call it a cutter. It's a hard slider. And then his curveball, which could be a firm slider. However you want to describe it, it's nasty. And the height of his fastball is going to be something to watch. If he's got low fastball command, then that slider and curveball combination makes it awfully difficult for the Cubs hitters to lay off of it. So watch the height of his fastball followed by his breaking pitches off the same plane as the fastball.
Our Geiger pitcher profile for Corey Kluber, an 18-game winner during the regular season. Same number of wins he had in 2014 when he won the Cy Young in the American League. Hard hit, foul, pass first.
And this is the 2-seamer. He starts in, looks like a ball, and comes back over the plate, catches the corner. Corey Kluber has been really good in the postseason with this pitch, establishing the fastball and then living down with the breaking ball. Already miles per hour. You can imagine the adrenaline has got him up 94, 93. He lives at about 91, 92 in the regular season.
Now Chris Bryant, 13 of 39 this postseason. And the first RBI in Game 6 of the NLCS takes the ball. Kluber so far this postseason has made 3 starts, 2-1 with an ERA under 1. 18 in a third innings, 2 runs, 13 hits, 20 strikeouts. 1 ball, 1 strike here. And I don't know if you caught it, but Tom Verducci slipped it into that report. He will pitch games 1, 4, and if necessary 7. That's unless something unforeseen happens. The beauty of the Indians, John, is they have Andrew Miller to pitch the middle innings of ball games, so they don't need their starters to go deep into the night.
No, he's not expecting anybody to go 7 innings with the lead, that's for sure. Especially not Kluber with their bullpen.
Here's a 2-1. 3 balls and a strike with Anthony Rizzo on deck.
You know, early in the postseason, Kluber gave up in the first 3 innings 2 runners each and wiggled his way out of it. Gave up a lot of 2-strike hits. But then after that really settled down. He did get the loss in Toronto, but he has been on his game every inning more he gets to pitch in the postseason.
Full count. Struck him out. And Bryant just found out.
Bryant's not going to like this at about 6'5". He's going to think this ball's down, and he probably has a case. So right now, the strike zone, good for pitchers early on, and 2 caught looking.
Meanwhile, it's so loud in here that Bryant was, I'd say, 3 or 4 steps down the line before he figured out that he had struck out. He thought he'd walked. Here's Rizzo. If you want noise, you've come to the right corner of the world. With the Cavs getting their championship rings and raising a banner tonight, that's foul.
Well, the reason the height of that fastball is going to be trouble for the Cubs, if they get that call, the Indians, he then can just spin breaking balls off of that height. To describe his breaking ball is the last minute turn and drop. Hitters cannot stay off of the height of it. He has one of those rare sliders that just, it's like an invisible. They don't see it at the last minute. It has tremendous late movement.
Jammed him. Third baseman waits. That's Ramirez. And a 1-2-3 start for Kluber. More 2016 JD Power Dependability Awards than any other brand. And by MasterPass, the simple, secure way to pay. Glad you're with us from Cleveland, Ohio. The Indians lineup, top 3. Rajai Davis will lead it off, then Kipnis, then Lindor. The middle 3, first baseman Mike Napoli, the DH Carlos Santana, Jose Ramirez. Brandon Guyer, an in-season pickup, bats 7. Lonnie Chisenhall hits 8. And Roberto Perez does the catching. He bats 9th. How about the defense behind John Lester? It's Zobrist out in left, Dexter Fowler in center, and Chris Coghlan in right. The young infield of Bryant, Russell, Baez, and Rizzo. 39-year-old David Ross does the catching as he usually does for the left-handed vet, John Lester. Lester has been sensational this postseason. Strike 1.
Well, he's used a majority of his fastballs in this postseason. You see the numbers, and he's got to keep guys like Davis off base. Davis has faced him 46 times in his career.
That's 2 quick ones. And over those 46 at bats, Rajai has 14 hits, so he's over 300. And when he gets on, he runs. 43 steals in the regular season. John Lester coming right after him. We'll give you the Lincoln Motor Company keys to the game.
Well, for Chicago, don't miss the fastball because you're not going to like what's coming after it. So you got to take advantage of the fastball off of Kluber, and Cleveland got to go. No dancing around on the base pass. This team is equipped to steal bases. You steal bases against Lester, put pressure on him, you increase your chances of winning.
Struck him out. 94 from John Lester, up and away. And Davis went after it, 1 down.
Lester's fastball has been electric all second half. He had a little trouble located with the Dodgers getting him a little bit off his game with the dancing around on the bases that we mentioned. But he has primarily stayed with the 4-seam fastball and cutter. Occasionally throws the changeup, but he'll go to the curveball more than the changeup.
See what Lester has done over his first 3 World Series starts. Dominant. Right at Rizzo, 2 out. And Kipnis didn't even have to Use the services of the bat boy. Just back to the bat rack himself with bat in hand. After that.
Well, as this series plays on, it's going to be interesting to see how Kipnis' ankle fares. He injured his ankle in a celebration after clinching the spot to get here. Been having treatment on it. So far, we'll watch and see how it affects him as this series goes along.
For coverage of this game in Spanish, please tune to Fox Deportes. With 2 out, nobody on, here is one of the young superstars of the game, Francisco Lindor, who is hitting .323 this postseason, while the rest of his teammates have combined for a .192 average. Good pitch from Lester. He's on here in the first inning, a ball and a strike.
Yeah, well, the Chicago Cubs, widely known for their great defense, but they're watching and reading the bat head. And what I mean by that is anybody that squares around, they have to come charging and feel the bunts.
That's up the middle. Another hit for Lindor. His 11th hit of this postseason. When someone steals a base this World Series, all of America scores a free Doritos Locos Taco. So baseball fans everywhere want to know who will be this year's taco hero. Keep watching the Fall Classic to find out. You may not have to wait long. Steal a base, steal a taco, only at Taco Bell. We expect Lindor to go.
The best case scenario for Lester is if base runners get on, make it be with 2 outs. Less stress. And if they steal a base, do what you've done best. He's been stingy with runners in scoring position all year.
We detailed it during the NLCS in a start out in Los Angeles. Lester does not throw over to first. And teams try to make him uncomfortable with a running game, whether it's dropping down a bunt, making him field his position, getting a huge lead, daring him to throw over, but he just will not do it. There goes Lindor. No chance for Ross. Stolen base.
We said it, once you get that lead, you just have to go as soon as he moves. Lester is quick to home. He'll vary his times, but he's pretty quick to home. You see no decision. This is easy. Just go as soon as the leg comes up. And that's what the Indians are going to have to do to be successful against Lester.
So a base has been stolen, which means there's a new taco hero for 2016. Francisco Lindor with a big lead off second. 2-0. Ball 3. So Francisco gets to claim the Taco Hero trophy, and everyone in America gets a free Doritos Locos Taco on November 2nd. Steal a base, steal a taco, only at Taco Bell. First base runner. Lindor swipes second. Now he waits for a 3-0 to Napoli.
Definite green light situation for Napoli. Got to be careful if you're John Lester on this pitch. Perfect pitch. When it's 3-0, the hitter's looking in one area and one area only because he has the luxury of doing that, and Lester painted the corner.
Napoli on a 1-year deal. He's 34 years old. He's been to the World Series twice before. He has been clutch. Led the team in RBIs this year. Takes a 2-out walk.
See, these are the things that in a World Series game, when you're pitching, the stress level's already high enough. Everything means that much more. And anything you can do to create or get a pitcher off of his game, that's going to be the goal of the Indians. The difference of the Indians and everybody else, the Indians will take the base. They are more suited, 134 stolen bases on the year. The other teams just tried to distract and get John Lester off his game without taking bases. And the only way you distract John Lester is to take the bases.
Now Carlos Santana, the DH. Ball one misses. Santana popped 34 home runs during the regular season. Was 3 for 18 with 2 home runs for his only 2 RBIs against Toronto in the ALCS. The 1-0. 2-0 from Lester.
Well, Lester's goal is to get ahead of Santana because the curveball gives him trouble. He's ready to attack the fastball at all times. He's been leading off for about 81 games in the regular season for this club. Not your prototypical leadoff hitter with 30-some home runs. But he doesn't come off the fastball too often.
And Ross wants to talk. To look at it this way, here's how the Indians put pressure on a defense on a pitcher. What they've done across baseball this year: #1 in scoring from second on singles, stolen base percentages 2, extra bases taken second in the major leagues, percentage of scoring after reaching third, stolen bases 4th. So that's a lot of pressure on a defense, and in this case on a pitcher who has a tough time holding runners close. 3-0 pitch. 3-1. You mentioned the 34 home runs for Santana. Carlos hit only 4 of the 34 against left-handed pitching. More powerful from the other side of the plate. Count is favored. 3-1 delivery. Bases loaded.
In a regular season game, a 2-out base hit is no big deal, even a 2-out stolen base. But in the postseason, the crowd never sits down. Everything's a rally. You start thinking about things in bigger ways than you normally would. And you got to remind yourself it's 2 outs. And you just got to make a pitch here, get out, reset the brain, and go sit down and get ready for your team to score. This kid at the plate has done nothing but hit all year since he's been in the lineup.
And since he's taken over third base, Jose Ramirez, bases loaded, 2 out. Strike 1 from Lester. Ramirez hit .219 last year, even was sent out to the minors. What a year. Hit .312, 11 home runs, 76 RBIs. Here's the 0-1. Tough play. That is a hit. 1-0 Indians in the first.
Well, there's nothing you can do about this if you're John Lester. The infield's playing back. That's just hitting no man's land. John Lester's not going to come off the mound too often to field anything that an infielder can field. But that is almost like a perfect bunt.
And Ramirez will take it any way he can get it. Second RBI of the postseason. The bases are still loaded with 2 out for Brandon Guyer. Scoring first in the postseason in the LCS, teams went 11-0. Overall 20-8 during this postseason. And these two teams had the top 2 records when they scored first during the regular year. Guyer, strike 1.
Great pitch right there, just to reset the focus. A curveball, just in case. After a swing like that, Guyer was all locked and loaded on a first pitch fastball. John Lester drops in a curveball. First one.
0-1. Popped up. foul ball. Strike two.
Always found that if a scenario plays out where an unexpected run scores or a hit that wasn't hit very hard, the momentum obviously goes to the team, and the next hitter that comes up is looking to do damage on the very first pitch. So both Ross and Lester changed the at-bat on that first pitch with a curveball.
Well, Konerko, the last one to connect with the bases loaded in the World Series. This all started with a two-out hit by Lindor up the middle. Stolen base, couple of walks, infield hit. 0-2 pitch. That will force home another. 2-0 Indians.
This is a cutter trying to get it through that back knee, but not literally to the back knee.
Here comes Chris Bosio out to the mound to talk. Brandon Guyer was hit 31 times. Led the league during the regular season, so no stranger to a bruise for an RBI. He makes it 2-0 with the bases loaded hit by pitch, and gives the opportunity now to Lonnie Chisenhall.
Yeah, no chance he was going to get that back leg out of the way. This cutter, you watch his back leg, and as they say on the bench, we got ice for that.
Chisenhall now. Lonnie hit .286 during the regular season. So far this postseason, 7 for 26 with 4 RBIs. These Indians did just enough with the bat. Scored only 12 runs in 5 games in the ALCS to win. 1 ball, 1 strike. Up, foul ball, a chance for Ross. What a play to bail Lester out of trouble. David Ross goes to the screen and hangs on, but the Indians strike first. This ends a long first inning in game 1. Cleveland on top 2-0. Kluber had a 1-2-3 first inning, back-to-back strikeouts. Then Rizzo popped up. It'll be Zobrist, Schwarber, and Baez. Chicago down by 2. Kluber pumping strikes. Zobrist 6 for 36, 3 RBIs this postseason. But in that cleanup spot, protecting Anthony Rizzo, who hits 3rd for Joe Madden. That's it at the knee. Strike 2.
Kluber really is no different than Kershaw. If he gets 2 strikes on you, lights out. 121 average when he gets 2 strikes on the hitter.
You can see Perez wanted it up. Zobrist wouldn't bite. Ball 1. That's into right center field. It's going to get down and go to the wall. Zobrist will dig for second. Think about third, but hold with a leadoff double. A 1-2 pitch, and Zobrist hung out a line drive.
Well, to get Zobrist out, you're going to see this breaking ball, but his swing path almost cuts it in half, right? It runs right into the barrel of his bat. That pitch was up in the zone way too much. When Kluber's good, that pitch is down. The story of this World Series is the man that's stepping in the box right now.
Kyle Schwarber. What a year he had last year. As a rookie, hit 16 home runs and then popped 5 more for a Cubs postseason record in October. But what he's attempting to do, well, it's never been done. No player has ever had fewer plate appearances in the regular season. Been a starter in a World Series, and here he is with 5 plate appearances on his record for 2016. They love him, the Cubs. And they could have had anybody. If they wanted Andrew Miller, who's been the MVP of the postseason on the mound across baseball, the Yankees wanted Schwarber. Everybody wanted Schwarber. The Cubs said, no, we want to keep him. They love his power.
They think he could be one of the best hitters on their team and certainly an everyday player next year. But this, the timing and missing all that time, that's what I anticipate Kluber to really rely more on breaking pitches than fastballs. Now, he's tracked and taken about 1,400 pitches off a machine and just got the timing and the rhythm off a machine, but very few off of real live pitching. A little bit in the Arizona Fall League. So as this series plays out here and he's the DH, let's just say for the 3 games, they're hoping he can run into 2 swings that makes a difference with his power.
That pitching machine was not wearing a number. Nope. Kluber wears number 28. And that's inside. But again, he's worked so hard. This was going on behind the scenes and wasn't even talked about until a couple of days ago. And all of a sudden it was like, well, we just activated him off the 60-day DL. He's been cleared by doctors. That had to happen first. And Joe Maddon will tell you this really wasn't on his radar until Schwarber looked as good as he looked tracking pitches in Arizona. 3-1. Good tailing pitch, strike 2.
Well, you saw that graphic earlier. Last year, Kluber absolutely abused Schwarber on 11 pitches for 3 Ks. And a lot of that was with that pitch right there. Starting it in. I think you got to go to the curveball or slider right here and just see if he's trying to force the aggressive swing out of Schwarber here on a 3-2 count.
Here it is. Struck him out, 1 away.
Well, he went with that same 2-seamer that rides back over the plate. Schwarber just couldn't catch up to it. Put his foot down. 93 and tailing action.
So the first-round pick from 2014 out of Indiana. He was beloved in his clubhouse and with management. They're asking a lot of him. DHing here tonight. Hasn't played since getting hurt on April 7th. At this level, and here he is, World Series Game 1. He's 0 for 1. Here's Baez. Baez has been outstanding. Was the co-MVP of the NLCS. Strike 1.
This will be an interesting matchup for me. I think the fastball becomes a show pitch to Baez. That one was really, you could tell Baez may be looking for a breaking ball. But as much as he can swing away and expand the zone away with his breaking pitches, that's what I expect how he'll pitch Baez.
Baez went around. Strike 2.
And that's awfully difficult for Baez right there. Because it's such a late breaker and he really wants to hit the fastball, he just can't hold the swing.
The swinging strike call made by the home plate umpire Larry Vanover. The 0-2.
If Kluber puts any portion of the ball and starts any portion of his breaking pitches on the plate, very difficult for right-handers to stay off of it. because he has two different speeds. He has that firm 91-mile-an-hour cutter that he may call a slider, and then the 85-mile-an-hour big breaking ball.
Two and two. Home plate umpire, as I said, Larry Vanover with Chris Guccione at first base. John Hirschbeck is the crew chief. He's at second. Marvin Hudson over at third. Tony Randazzo is down the left field line. Joe West, the veteran, a crew chief during the regular season. He's in right. Replay umpire is Sam Holbrook. He will join this series on the field when we go to Chicago on Friday. Larry Vanover goes to New York. Two. Dynamite down the middle, 2 out.
Got him looking away, and he throws the two-seamer comebacker. Starts out as a ball, and as we said, comes back late. Perez doing a great job just keeping his glove still and everything right there on the outside part. Kluber carving him up early. That's why I think the Cubs, if you're going to have success against Kluber, you've got to attack the fastballs when given to you. You've got to be aggressive without overswinging. Easier said than done in this atmosphere.
We heard Ken Rosenthal before the game started talk about the surprise in the lineup. Chris Coghlan. Ball one. Coghlan was traded in February when the Cubs needed to find room for Dexter Fowler when he signed late to come back for 1 year. Coghlan went to Oakland, was traded back to Chicago. Jason Hayward had been signed as a high-priced free agent. Hayward's on the bench in game 1 of this World Series, and Coghlan gets his chance. Spins out of there on strike 1.
Tremendous movement. Of course, Coghlan on the plate thinks this ball's way inside, only to find out top of the strike zone.
Coghlan hitless this postseason, 0 for 4. So he's been sitting and watching. Now he gets a chance to start. Lays off a nasty pitch down and in, ball 2.
That's a good sign for Coghlan. That's the pitch that gives him fits. With 2 strikes, look for Kluber to definitely go back in that area. Typical left-hander, down and in, looks good, but if it's down at his back foot, they can't get to it, especially if it's breaking.
Kluber with 11 straight wins when getting 2 or more runs of support. The Indians 12-0 during that stretch, and Kluber starts. That's ball 3, and Coghlan remains patient with Addison Russell, who has heated up over the last 3 games, waiting on deck. See if Coghlan gets something to hit with a count of 3-1, and if he does something with it. Full count.
And again, that's that slider. He struggled all year, Coghlan has, on sliders. In a perfect spot. Look, all these pitchers have video, and they have all the numbers to support their pitch selection and game plan. Now it just comes up to executing it.
Six outs, 5 by strikeout. for Corey Kluber. 2-0 Cleveland after 1.5. Telecast is sponsored by Coors Banquet. That's how it's done. Up above on this 50-degree night. Tonight's aerial coverage brought to you by DirecTV. If you call yourself a sports fan, you got to get DirecTV. Call 1-800-DirecTV. John Lester had a rough first inning after getting the first 2 outs on 5 pitches. A strikeout and a line out. Took him 21 pitches to get the last out. It took a terrific play by David Ross, his veteran battery mate, back against the backstop on a foul out with the bases loaded to end the first. 2-0 Cleveland. Bottom of the second. Perez first up. Roberto the catcher. 4 hits this postseason, taking a big rip. Hit only 183 during the regular year. And the catching position for Cleveland as a group, they had 4 guys that shared that spot. Hit 185, which was last in the big leagues. But this, Roberto Perez, the best defensive catcher of the group, and that's why he's in there. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Yeah, they love the way he handles the pitching staff. They don't really care if he hits a whole lot. They'll sacrifice that for his defense. They say he's smooth, he can throw. And of course, when Lucroy did not come here via the trade, blocked the trade, that gave this kid an opportunity, and he has not disappointed from behind the plate.
That rides up and away, 2-2. Lester, full count.
Lester's game plan actually fits how you attack the Indians. They are much better, in my opinion, off-speed hitting team. You can power through most of the guys if you have your fastball and you're commanding your fastball.
That's in the air to shallow left center. Perez got under it. Zobrist, 1 out. Leadoff man is gone. Boys and Girls Clubs of America's National Youth of the Year, Jocelyn Woods, delivered the game ball prior to the start of Game 1. Each year, MLB and Boys and Girls Clubs work together to create unique opportunities for over 4 million children and teens worldwide. Find out how you can help. Go to greatfutures.org. There's former Cleveland manager Mike Hargrove accompanied Jocelyn to the mound. He led his team to 5 straight AL Central titles, to the World Series in '95 and '97. That's a little floater that's going to drop foul. In '97, I know the Indians lost in a thrilling Game 7 to the Marlins. Now in '95, who did they lose to?
I believe it's a team that's their only championship in the city.
Yeah. That was
the
Atlanta Braves.
Yeah. I didn't have great memories here. 35 degrees, 1 2/3 innings in my World Series start here in this stadium.
There's an 0-1. Well, that was such a good team that year after year put together. John Hart, and that lineup was just loaded all over the field. 1-1 pitch. That's up the middle, kick save, and now a underhand toss to first, 2 out. Good play by Lester.
Well, Lester has tried and worked on all of this. If you say, why can't he throw to first? Why can't he throw the ball? Well, he's attempted to work on that. It just is not part of feeling comfortable. So a good kick save right here. He's had many plays where the ball's gotten stuck in his webbing and he's run the glove over there and thrown the glove to Rizzo. But this team knows how to defend with John Lester on the mound. The corner infield for anybody with speed will come in. And Ross, of course, his ability to throw to bases.
Here's Kipnis, lined out to first his first time. That's just outside. Lester wanted that pitch, didn't get it. The home plate umpire.
And so far, the inner side of the plate, Ross is already talking to him right now. The inner side of the plate So into a lefty, away to a righty is a little bit more lenient already than the outside part of the plate.
Back outside a little bit farther, 2-0.
So that's really going to benefit, as you've seen, Kluber and his comeback fastball, and then sets up that slider curveball into a left-hander on that side of the plate.
That's a strike. If there is an emotional leader, a heart and soul guy for the Indians, you're looking at him. Jason Kipnis. The guy on deck, Francisco Lindor, is the superstar. Just 22 years old, but Kipnis gets under one and flies one into right. It is caught by Baez, had to reach back to get it as he deals with the wind here in Cleveland, Ohio. Kipnis 0 for 2. Third inning rolls in game 1. Cubs coming to bat, down a pair. Looking for their first win. They, in my opinion, have a great coach to get it turned around here with this great franchise. This week, the NFL on Fox kicks off at a special time as the Washington Redskins battle the Cincinnati Bengals live from London. Then the Seahawks square off with the Saints in an America's Game of the Week. Packers face off with the Falcons. It all begins Sunday at 9 Eastern, only on Fox. And the Browns are tired of the carousel at the quarterback position. In 2016 alone, let alone the last handful of years. Feels like since Bernie Kosar hung it up, it's been one guy after another. Here's Addison Russell, good breaking ball from Kluber. His stuff is on. His fastball movement is terrific. Kluber, he's got a good catcher in Roberto Perez, who frames pitches well. Good combination. 2 quick strikes on Russell.
That's the pitch Russell can't miss. There's a lot of pressure on Russell. It's a bad matchup for him because curveballs are something he doesn't do very well with, and the curveball we're talking about tonight is one of the best.
Here it comes. Got him looking. Strikeout number 6, 4th in a row.
Corey Kluber, I'm going to say, is good to his glove side, and what I mean is that's the left side on your screen plate. His glove side command is so good, and it's affected the left-handed hitters early on and the right-handed hitters, and you see that breaking ball in the spin. Anything that spins down and away, Russell has struggled with. So both pitchers, glove side, one left-handed, one right-handed, both deal with the opposite sides of the plate. Away to a right-hander for Kluber and into a right-hander for Lester.
Strike one now on David Ross.
So just so you know at home, when you hear people say he's really good arm side, so arm side would be into a right-hander for Kluber. The opposite, glove side, would be away.
That misses. 1 ball, 1 strike with 1 out, nobody on. Ross hit .229 during the regular season, 10 homers, 32 RBIs. He's popped a home run that came in the division series against the Giants. He's 2 for 11. Catching John Lester. That's strike 2. In the second inning, Corey Kluber became the first Indians pitcher to ever strike out the side in a World Series game. He did that to get around a leadoff double by Zobrist. The 1-2. Fouled right side. It will get out of play.
So here's the side of the plate that he's most comfortable with. You watch on the lefty, paint. Another one to a lefty, paint. These things are absolutely dotted up. You can't do anything as a hitter unless you are selling out knowing the pitch is going to be there. And right now he is as good as I've ever seen him. The weather's not affecting him. The touch on his pitches have been fantastic, but it's the command of his fastball. And if the Cubs don't pick out one to hit, you can see what's happened so far with the early strikeouts.
League Baseball has attached home field advantage in the World Series in the All-Star game, depending on the result, since the tie back in '02. Corey Kluber, ironically enough, was the winning pitcher at this past All-Star game in San Diego, while the Indians are hosting their first ever World Series Game 1. How about Ross? He's on with one out here in the third. And that breaks up a string of 4 straight strikeouts, 1 on, 1 out, and back to the top of the order. Tonight's telecast is sponsored by the Ford Transit. Built Ford tough.
First mistake of the night. He left one up. Oh, I should say second mistake. Zobrist got a double, but right there to Ross. He could have beat him with fastballs away, and he left a breaking ball over the middle of the plate.
Fowler struck out his first time. Dexter hit 13 home runs during the regular season. Takes the ball. Tom Verducci, what are you seeing down low?
Well, as John mentioned, that comeback sinker is such an important pitch. Actually turned around the career of Corey Kluber. 4 years ago, at 26, he was stuck in AAA going nowhere as a 4-seam fastball pitcher. At the suggestion of his pitching coaches, including Mickey Callaway, who's now here with Cleveland, he went to the 2-seamer. And that sinker is a bit of a misnomer for Corey Kluber. I call it a runner. Much more movement horizontally than vertically, and he's got it working tonight, guys.
1 ball, 1 strike on Dexter Fowler.
Yeah, and if he doesn't dip his shoulder, he'll stay on top of that sinker, which creates that movement. If he gets underneath it, then that lateral movement becomes flat.
The 1-1. Tailing action at 93. The hitter gives up on it, and it's a strike. It's 1-2.
And so what he can do off of this, see the hitter's reaction. Now if they've got to be honest with that pitch, he can throw that cutter in, and as soon as they move to go hit it, they either break the bat or swing over the top of it. No pitches away so far that have made any left-hander feel like they can go out and get it.
Struck him out. Unbelievable run. 7 strikeouts. Through 8 outs picked up by Corey Kluber.
6 days rest has done him well. He knows what his task in this series is going to be. If they're going to be successful, they're going to have to ride this man's starters, this man's ability to start multiple games in this series.
4th pitcher in World Series history with 7 strikeouts through 3 innings. He still has 1 out to get. No one has ever in World Series history had 8 strikeouts through 3 innings. Strike 1 on Bryant. Struck out looking on a 3-2 pitch his first time.
The way that Bryant can carry his bat through the zone. Look at some point tonight for Kluber, so he doesn't reach over the plate to go in with a fastball to break, to open up that slider again. Right now he's basically saying, here comes another one. You're not able to hit it. I'm throwing it in a perfect spot.
Everything Bryant could do to spoil that pitch. Good job by the young third baseman. Last year's Rookie of the Year. This year's likely MVP in the National League.
The key to pitching in baseball is owning one part of the plate, making that your money pitch. You've got to own it. If you can go to both sides of the plate, you're Clayton Kershaw, and you're the best pitcher in baseball. Right now, he has owned one part of the plate, and the Cubs can't do anything with it. That's the pitch that has effect, right? He was looking away. If he had that pitch 2 inches down, I don't think there's any way Bryant could have laid off of it. Now he can go back away with that same break on his harder curveball.
Struck him out. World Series history. Kluber, the first to strike out 8 through 3 innings. Number 28 is on. Kevin Burkhardt, it's all yours.
Okay, Joe, this commercial-free break is brought to you by T-Mobile. Welcome to Unlimited Baseball as we take you out to our set here in center field at Progressive Field. We have got Frank Thomas, Pete Rose, Alex Rodriguez. I don't know what you do against Corey Kluber. He's got already the most strikeouts for any Indian pitcher in the World Series. We've seen that two-seamer just ride in. 3 of the best hitters of all time. How do you hit him? What do you do?
Well, on a night like tonight, you probably don't. Corey has been dominating. He has Cubs hitters talking to themselves and shaking their heads. And he's doing it with a mix of 3 pitches, fastball, cutter, and a wipeout slider. And the most dominating pitch has been that hit pitch. If you're a left-handed hitter, it looks like that pitch looks like it's going to basically shatter your right hip.
You got to wait in there. Pete, how do you hit this guy?
You got to back off the plate a little bit because he's starting the ball inside. He's ended up on the inside part of the plate on the corner. They're all good pitches. They're unhittable.
He's a bona fide ace. When he's on like this, I've seen him do it a few times this year. This is why he won the Cy Young a few years ago. But right now, he's definitely on his A game. It could be a long night for the Cubs hitters.
What do we think about Lester? Obviously, it was kind of a weird first inning for him. I mean, you don't see him, you know, he's 0-2 on Geyer, and then he hit him a couple walk strange as he settled in, do you think?
I think so. They didn't hit him that hard. He got a swing and bunt and hit batsman. So he wasn't that bad. It took him a little bit. I think Larry Vanover kind of squeezed him a little bit in that first inning also. So it's tough sledding when you got a team like this with this type of pitching, and Mr. Miller is in waiting in the zone here for you.
Nobody on 2S, and measly ground ball to center field, stone base, 2 walks, and a hit batsman 0-2 when he hit the guy, the batter. That's bad.
That's the great thing of having a guy like David Ross behind the plate. He looks like he's got this game back under control, so he should be pretty good from here on out.
Yeah, that's for sure. And Pete, you were talking about it before the game. Kyle Schwarber back. Amazing that he's back. Not in Arizona anymore. Corey Kluber's not in the Arizona Fall League. That is for sure.
I wish him luck, but he's going to strike out 3 times tonight.
Oh, we shall find out, and we will see. Guys, Unlimited Baseball doesn't stop there. Now fans can stream and post as much as they want with T-Mobile One and unlimited data. This postseason, the Uncarrier asks you to show us who is baseball's #1 fan for a chance to win tickets to every game of the 2017 World Series. We're down to 3 finalists, and now it's up to you to decide. Go to @T-Mobile on Twitter to view the entries and to tweet your vote to Unlimited Baseball and hashtag baseball or office or love. Thanks, fans, for watching the T-Mobile One Unlimited Baseball break. Back over to Joe and John.
Kevin, guys, thank you. Away we go. Bottom of the 3rd inning. Here's the last strikeout. And this is postseason game number 1,503. And it's the first time any pitcher has had 8 strikeouts through 3 innings of any postseason game. It just happens to take place here in the World Series, game 1. The man in charge of all the side sessions and all the work that Corey Kluber puts in is Mickey Callaway. And Mickey, man, you got to be thrilled with the way your horse is throwing the ball here tonight.
I really am. You know what? He's executing his pitches. He's relaxed, calm, and that's really allowing him to get the ball where he wants to.
It'll be 3, 4, and 5 hitters for the Indians here, leading 2-0. That means Lindor, who started the rally in the first, with a 2-out single and a stolen base. We'll get to Mickey after this pitch. Another hit for Lindor. That kid is unbelievable. Meanwhile, Mickey, you talk about Corey Kluber and the dominant stuff he has had here. This is not just a postseason phenomenon. He's been so good over the past few months. Your pitching staff, it's so varied coming out of the bullpen. You give the opposition a lot of different looks, don't you?
Yeah, we really do. You know, that really allows us to match up however we want late in the game. And obviously our starters have been doing a really good job of getting to those guys. So, you know, we feel really relaxed, especially when we get, you know, that 3rd time through the order. And we feel like we can be really effective from then on.
After the leadoff hit, here is Napoli. One last question, Mickey, and that is about Andrew Miller, the MVP of the ALCS. What a luxury, because you don't need length out of your starters, and you can bring a guy like Kluber back earlier than you might otherwise. It's nice to have him, isn't it?
It really is. You know, like I said, that 3rd time through the order, if we need to, then we can bring Andrew Miller in and make sure that we kind of hold him at bay. So our offense gets a early lead, and then we let the bullpen have it, and there you go.
Mickey, thanks for the time, and we appreciate it very much, and good luck this series.
Really appreciate it, guys. Thanks a lot.
The Indians were #2 in the American League with a team ERA of 3.84. Lindor already has stolen 1. That's strike 2 on Napoli.
Well, he's inching off a little bit more, is Lindor. And if it isn't during this at bat, then the next batter that comes up, he will attempt a stolen base. See Rizzo just trying to create an illusion by getting in between the base and the runner.
That is right down the middle, and a big strikeout for Lester. John knows he is in a battle tonight against Corey Kluber, 1 out.
Now this situation right here, after coming back and making these 3 pitches to get a strikeout, at some point Joe Maddon is going to pick his spots and throw a pitch out, or at least a high fastball, to give Ross an opportunity. If he thinks they're going, that's one way to defend against him. The other way to defend against it, Ross will pick his spots and back pick. In other words, throw behind the runner if he's got too big of a lead to Rizzo to try to pick him off. But this would be the time, I would think, in one of the next 2 pitches, be awfully tempted to throw a pitch out, anticipating Lindor going to second base.
Batter is Carlos Santana, the DH. And he left, but Lester won't throw over. It's just crazy. I mean, the mind. He won't throw to first. The last time he threw to first base was the 24th of July in a game against Milwaukee, and the Brewers stole 6 bases off John Lester. And here's a guy who's one of the best pitchers in the game who refuses to throw over to first base just because he can't make himself do it.
Yeah, I almost felt that that would have been the perfect time for a pitch out, as you saw that he was going.
We talked about it, and it's that Y word that nobody wants to say in golf, other sports. I mean, he's got the yips, throwing the ball anywhere but to the plate with a hitter in the batter's box. There goes Lindor. Throw down by Ross. Got him, and what a tag. Lindor's not moving. He thinks he was safe. Baez delivered that quick tag, and at the moment it's 2 out.
Great release by Ross. This wasn't the greatest of jumps by Lindor. Once a little hesitation, then he goes, and this guy can definitely apply a tag. He doesn't have to look and see where the guy's going, but
I don't know if he touched it.
I think they'll have another look at this one.
Here's another look at it.
See, he never looks, does Baez, to try and apply the tag. He's almost feeling for the base runner. And Lindor didn't feel anything, so he said, definitely check this out.
And now the Indians are not going to. Lindor thinks he's safe, and he is reluctantly walking off the field. The Indians are not going to ask this be reviewed, and maybe the edge of the glove right there, the strings on the glove, whatever it is. I don't think there is clear and convincing evidence to overturn the call. What a throw by David Ross, and what a tag by Javier Baez yet again. And that's the voice of John Lester.
I mean,
he thinks that was a strike.
You can't blame him for the strikes and calls that the other side's getting. Ross is trying his best to talk to Larry because the other guy's painting on that same side of the plate.
3-0 pitch to Santana. And Lester is hot. Let's go back to that 2-0 pitch. Vanover's not too thrilled either. Let's go back to the 2-0.
It's a good pitch. I don't know what the box says, but
here it is from above. And you could hear Lester screaming
Well, it's just simple. I mean, whether it's a strike or not, you're seeing your guys jump out of the way and get strike calls, and he's been making great pitches, and Kluber just absolutely spotting it up.
Batter now is Jose Ramirez, takes the ball. Santana walks for the second time tonight.
And remember, a pitcher always sees it differently when he's delivering a ball, the angle that his head is at. It definitely looks good when your catcher doesn't move.
There's a good pitch, ball and a strike.
And like we all do, we're going to go in afterwards. We're going to go to the computer. We're going to look at those pitches to either satisfy our mind or say, okay, I overreacted.
1-1 in at the knees, strike 2.
The one difference for John Lester in this game, he is not going to the plate with the bat to have any subtle conversation that he wants to have, because the DH applies here. So he has to have his conversations from 60 feet away.
Santana at first, 2 out, 1-2 pitch. Ramirez reaches out and gets a base hit into center. 2 on, 2 out. And Jose Ramirez, who has an RBI single on an infield chopper that went about 45 feet, is 2 for 2.
This guy's been unbelievable. We talked about his ability to come and play every day. The injury of Michael Brantley, learning how to play third base. Second base is actually his real position of comfort. But everything that Terry Francona has been able to do, and every guy that they plugged in, have come up big, it seems like, for a year. And unfortunately, Santana coming up lame.
He's grabbing, he was a moment ago, his leg. DH who drew a walk after Lindor was thrown out trying to steal. Who knows if it's a cramp?
It almost reacts. It almost looks like he's reacting to a cramp. So far, nothing has been real easy. The Indians are not making it easy on John Lester. He's been grinding out there. And another 2-out situation for the Indians with runners on.
Santana trying to walk it off out at second base. The batter will be Brandon Guyer with 2 on and 2 out. And now they want to get him some water.
Well, you see him running on a base hit all the way, and then right about there, it doesn't seem like a whole lot until he just almost looks like it's a cramp.
Fluids, Gatorade, and John Lester saying, how long is this going to take? So while they tried to alleviate what you have to guess is a cramp, we'll tell you, you can experience every postseason moment with MLB.com at Bat, the #1 app for live baseball. It's the only place to get it all. Live radio feeds, video highlights, pitch tracking, StatCast, and much more. Download at Bat today. I'll ask you, John Smoltz, a veteran of the postseason, how would you be putting up with this if you were on the mound while they try and alleviate the symptoms of a cramp out at second base?
Well, you understand it, and you just try to be as patient as you can. Look, this time of year is always the intensity of wanting to help your team and pitch your team to victory.
I think Lester's about had enough.
It's going to have to be a gapper, you would think, based on the way he's reacting to score on a hit. But the fact that He can go in after this inning and not have to come out to the field. They can address the cramp.
Here's Geyer now, hit by a pitch with the bases loaded for an RBI. Made it 2-0 in the first. It's 2-0 in the third. Geyer. Ball one upstairs as Ross popped up.
Ross was trying to go to first base there, just catch the napping of Ramirez. Great chance to do it with first and second. You see Rizzo going back to the bag. But Ramirez was more ready than I thought he would be on that first pitch.
1-0. That is hammered foul. Geyer picked up from the Rays the 1st of August, and here he is in the World Series, starting in left for Cleveland.
Terry Francona using platoon systems. Geyer against left-handers, hit .336 on the year.
Geyer played for Joe Madden with the Rays, and Brandon here trying to add to the lead, which is 2-0, third inning. 1-1 pitch. And no swing. 2-1.
These situations, Geyer on the year has been outstanding. You see him fastball up, just keeps the barrel from crossing home plate. With 2 outs and runners in scoring position, .344 average. So he definitely locks in.
Nice pickup by this Cleveland front office. What a year they had. Mike Chernoff, Chris Antonetti. Chernoff in his first year since being named the general manager. Antonetti getting more responsibilities. Good front office tandem. Here comes the 2-1. 2 on, 2 out. 2-2. Game 2 is tomorrow night. Some rain in the forecast, which has everybody wondering what kind of a night it'll be weather-wise here in Cleveland. Tonight, 50 degrees. Breeze coming in from center. No rain in the forecast for game 1. 2-2 count. Got him looking, and a good job by John Lester after all that. And he now walks over toward the home plate umpire. Lester has kept it a 2-run game. So far, the story has been Corey Kluber, 8 strikeouts through 3. Ball is jumping. And he and the Cleveland Indians lead 2-0. A third of the way through. The career for Corey Kluber, we can give you more on it. Where his season came in statistically in 2016, top 5 in the American League in all those categories this postseason. He has been the ace, as has John Lester. Kluber originally a 4th-round pick by San Diego in '07, part of a 3-team deal that got him to Cleveland. Boy, has he blossomed. Here's Rizzo, ball 1.
Well, all the Indians have done every game is struck out at least 6, struck out at least 8 in all 8 postseason games. Relievers have more strikeouts than do their starters.
StatCast is powered by Amazon Web Services as the count goes to 2-0. You saw John Lester walk off the mound and very controlled. Had a conversation with Larry Vanover. He was frustrated during the inning for not getting some strikes. Vanover took it all in, patted him on the belly and said, go get him. Now the count's 2-1 on Rizzo, starting the 4th.
So that conversation went kind of like this. Look, first of all, sorry for yelling at me. Second of all, where are those pitches? Are they close? You make your point. You don't have to show the umpire up anymore. You walk off, and hopefully that's the end of it.
2-1, Rizzo hits a bullet foul.
In a career, John Lester and Larry Vanover behind home plate. He's 3-0. with a good ERA. They got all stats for everything, man. Too many stats.
But don't think they're not aware of that. These teams scout umpires and give pitcher, the catcher, the hitters a scouting report for whoever is behind the plate every game. 2-2 pitch. Inside, ball 3.
Well, the Cubs realize what's at stake for them in the bullpen. And never has this become more of an issue leading after 3 innings. You would think that's not a big deal, right? You got 6 more innings. 18-3 the teams are in the postseason after leading 3 innings.
Rizzo pops it up. Foul ball to the railing and handled by the catcher Perez. 1 out.
The Indians are 4-0, and the Cubs, you see, they're 4-1. Both of them have outstanding bullpens, but I think the Indians get more credit because of the lack of starters, healthy starters for the Cleveland Indians this postseason. That's why it's been such an improbable run when you think about them here in the World Series. Only have lost 1 postseason game.
Zobrist doubled his first time. 1 out, nobody on. Strike 1. Well, Andrew Miller's made 6 postseason appearances this year, no runs. 1-0 with a save, a ton of strikeouts. We'll get into the numbers if and probably when he comes into this game 1. And it's to the point where he's such a weapon coming out of the pen, picked up from the Yankees in season, as the Cubs did with their closer, Aroldis Chapman, that Terry Francona picks his spot. He's so good at handling a bullpen. He's kind of a every night guy is Andrew Miller. Here's a 1-1. 2-1.
Well, that's why when they talk about on paper, yes, the Chicago Cubs on paper are a much better ball club and healthier. They have more weapons, but Terry Francona has basically allowed his team to realize we don't need but a couple, and we're going to utilize them in the way of Miller, Shaw, Cody Allen.
To the right side, Napoli goes to the bag. Good play, Kipnis, 2 out. Tonight's telecast is sponsored by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. And by Taco Bell, steal a base, steal a taco, only at Taco Bell. 2 out, nobody on for Kyle Schwarber. You heard Pete Rose say during that T-Mobile 1 break, commercial free, that he thinks Schwarber will strike out 3 times tonight.
I just think this is a monumental task. You're asking a great hitter out all year.
He flies one into right. Back at the track. It is off the wall. Welcome back, Kyle Schwarber, with a 2-out double. Unbelievable. Hasn't played in the big league since the 7th of April. And all that work to get healthy with his leg, to get his eye back, to get his timing down, and he rockets one off the wall for the 2nd double of the night for the Cubs.
Yeah, incredible. And the wind kept this one from being a home run. And that's what, if you're a Cubs fan, and even if you're Cubs management, this is what you were hoping for. 2 swings to affect the series. I'm telling you, I don't have a hat right now, but I'd take it off and salute him. That is not an easy task right there, and he's got a hit to show for all that hard work.
His first hit of the season comes here in Game 1 of the World Series. Now it's Baez. He flies one into right. Back is Chisenhall, and now inning over. But Schwarber makes his presence felt with a 2-out double. Cubs have left 3, trail by 2 after 3.5. It's been small ball that put the Indians on top as they got 2 runs in the first inning. An RBI hit by Jose Ramirez that went about 45 feet. And then a bases loaded hit batsman forced home another run. That's all. Here's Chisenhall. 1 ball, 1 strike. It's a 2-0 game, thanks in large part to the pitching of Corey Kluber. He was struck out 8, allowed no runs on 3 hits. Strike 2 on Chisenhall. Understand because of the delay you couldn't hear when I referenced John Lester and the voice of last inning when he screamed out to the home plate umpire. There is a minuscule mic right in front of the pitcher's mound and one behind it, so if it's set out there we can pick it up. Thankfully there was a delay, but he was frustrated. As we showed you, he walked over after the end of the 3rd inning, talked with Larry Vanover, had his say, and now back to work in the 4th in a 2-0 game in his 2-2 pitch. Strikeout number 4 and out number 1 here in the 4th inning for John Lester.
Well, even though he gave up those 2 runs in the 1st inning, it was aided by that stolen base. And I'll tell you, with 2 outs, he worked himself in a little bit of trouble. That's the Indians going to be MO against tonight's starter Lester and tomorrow night's starter Jake Arrieta. Both of those pitchers struggle to hold runners on. So in an era where we don't run anymore as a whole, the Cleveland Indians are prepared to run because that's what they did during the regular season.
Talking with our editorial consultant Steve Horn before tonight's game, and he made the point, I think a good point, that the Cubs are designed almost like your prototypical American League club because they can pound the ball, and the Cleveland Indians are more like the typical National League type team. Here's a shot into left. That's pounded and gone. Home run. Roberto Perez. 3-0 Cleveland on top. And the quote-unquote light-hitting catcher has his 2nd home run of the postseason. That ball was scorched. And all it has to do is get over that yellow line and left. And it looked like it hit the railing above the yellow line.
High fastball, and he was ready for it.
Yep, that's gone.
And hit that railing, as you talked about, Joe. Geared up for 1 speed, and he got a pitch he liked.
One out, nobody on. Rajai Davis at the plate. Steve Horn, by the way, has just been fired for making that point that the Indians are more like a National League club, that the Cubs are the ones that hit the home runs. As you're making the point, Roberto Perez goes deep, and that's really what they've done this postseason. Not what they did during the regular year, but the home run ball has provided the offense. Over 50% for the Indians in October. There's a 1-0. In at the knees. A ball and a strike on Rajai Davis.
Yeah, that's home run number 12. Look, the Indians have just been so opportunistic. I mean, they're not lighting up the average in this postseason. The number 1 and number 2 hitters not getting a lot of hits, but the hits they're getting and the pitching they're getting is just enough. They are riding an incredible run of taking down some heavy hitting teams and some heavy favorite teams.
Here's a 2-1 from Lester to Davis. High fly ball into left. Back is Zobrist. 2 out. Let's go back to the home run by Roberto Perez.
See where the pitch is. Upper part of the strike zone. You see the exit velocity. He absolutely crushes this ball.
He didn't know it was gone initially. It went over that yellow line. And for a team that has a long-term deal in place with Yan Gomes, who started the year as their primary catcher and then was injured. 2 separate injuries. They're riding Roberto Perez, his defense and now his offense. They lead 3-0 in the 4th. Here's Kipnis. Good breaking ball from Lester, strike 1. Kipnis sprained his ankle, his left ankle, in the celebration at the end of the ALCS in Toronto. There's a fly ball down the line. Tough play. Russell, best angle. And he's got it. So the Indians have lost a guy to a drone incident and one hurt in a celebration, but they lead 3-0 after 4. Back after this from your local Fox station. The World Series is sponsored by Chevrolet, the official vehicle of Major League Baseball. Chevrolet has earned more 2016 J.D. Power Dependability Awards than any other brand. Learn more at Chevrolet.com. 3-0 game now after the home run by Roberto Perez, the catcher. Coughlin leads off, takes a strike. That's 18 called strikes already for Corey Kluber.
And that's the first one away to a left-hander, and you can see Coughlin shaking his head. He was like, that's away. And he's been victimized of the pitch in.
In a blink in the hole 0-2. Coughlin struck out his first time. 0 for 5 this postseason. Got the surprise start tonight with Hayward on the bench. Not that Hayward not being in the starting lineup was a major surprise. He struggled so much. He did not make the start, albeit against a left-hander in Game 6 of the NLCS. But Coughlin got the nod. Trying to place one down the third base line. It stays 0-2. Let's go back to his first at bat.
Yeah, everything was on this side of the plate, right? He made every pitch he could make, and that's why Coughlin wasn't happy. That's Schwarber there.
That was the first pitch for a strike in this second at bat. Here's an 0-2 from Kluber. That's on the inside corner, struck him out. Number 9 for the Cleveland Ace.
There's just no way to cover both sides, and a hitter is at the mercy of a pitcher making great pitches. If you see a pitch away and then you see this pitch in, there's just no way to pull the trigger. You have to absolutely know what's coming in order to hit it. And Kluber, he's been hitting that spot, whether it's a strike or not. He's been hitting that spot all night and putting enough pressure on the Cubs hitters and the umpires to make that call.
Addison Russell struck out his first time. Flies one into center. Davis coming to get it. And Rajay has it, 2 out. David Ross is coming to the plate in his final year. One of the real good guys in baseball, wearing a microphone for us tonight. Listen in.
Good to see you, man. Huh? No, I gotta use it. I gotta try to use it. Whew. This is fun, huh? So stressed out. It's like once I get to play, I'm fine, but before, this guy's slider is filthy.
And here he is with 2 out. Chops one to third, foul. It's easy for me, a guy who has made his living calling play-by-play in sports, but for you, John, a guy who made his living down there between the white lines. Guys like David Ross last, not just because they're talented, but because they're good teammates, because they're liked in the community. People in Chicago have taken to him, and it's been a short while that he's been with the Cubs. They absolutely adore this guy, and good. They picked a good one to love.
Yeah, absolutely. And unfortunately, these guys are getting phased out, and he's one of the last guys to survive the era of play a role, maybe not have the greatest statistics, but serve a purpose. They serve a purpose in the clubhouse, and of course once every 5 days he catches his good buddy John Lester. But every team needs a guy like that, and every team doesn't have the luxury of spending whatever they allocate for those resources.
There's a tailing pitch for a strike, and it's 1-2. Kluber and Cleveland over the Cubs, 3-0. Tonight's T-Mobile 1 in-game box score for the Indians. Lindor right in the middle of it again. 22-year-old Ramirez, left side of the infield, has been dominant for Cleveland. He's 2 for 2 and a home run out of the number 9 spot. Roberto Perez going deep last inning. Bottom of the 5th rolls in. 3-0 game with Lester back to the hill. Lindor. Strike 1.
Yeah, we've got some of the most young dynamic players in our league, and certainly the league is getting younger, but they're prepared, they're mature. The everyday players have come up and they've seized the moment, and they're not really scared by anything. And that's a credit to the amount of playing that they did at a young age. The game has gotten very specialized. Unfortunately, that's part of the reason we have so many injuries too, but guys like Bryant, Baez, Lindor, with all the expectations, they're coming up and delivering right away. That used to never be the case.
Here's a 1-1. There are 2 people standing almost exactly 90 feet from each other that if you gave organizations a list of 5 guys you would want to start an organization, a franchise with, they'd be on that list of 5. The guy at the plate and the guy standing at third. Lindor, and for the Cubs, Bryant. Both in their early 20s, both mature beyond their years, both super marketable, and both can just flat out play.
And just the humility really out of those young players and how they represent both on and off the field. Bryant, his smile and genuine care for not only the game but just having fun. Lindor the same way, talking to him at the All-Star game.
2-2 pitch.
But the talent is just off the charts. To have this shortstop kind of revolution that we have now, that position has so many young stars. Everything goes in cycles, and right now the shortstop spot is pretty hot.
And the guy at second base for the Cubs, Javier Baez, was picked 1 pick behind Francisco Lindor back in 2011. And Baez would consider himself a shortstop. The Cubs have a good one. That is a fair ball. Good play by Ross to get to that before it rolled foul. And Lindor is retired for the first time tonight. Ken Rosenthal is with us, and there were a lot of scouts in attendance at a Florida baseball game when Lindor and Baez were hooking up head to head.
There were, Joe, and you go back to 2011, that's the year they were picked 1 selection apart. Lindor number 8, Baez number 9. That game was in Florida, and both these players have similar backgrounds. Grew up in Puerto Rico, moved to Florida at the age of 12. The year before that legendary high school game, they actually were teammates on a travel team, along with another player who went very high in that draft, Jose Fernandez.
Oh! Here's a strike to Mike Napoli, who's 0 for 1 with a walk and a run scored. We have video of those 2 players while in high school as Napoli takes one inside. A ball and a strike.
You talked about the importance of David Ross for the Cubs. Well, Terry Francona can't speak enough to the importance of Mike Napoli, getting him in the offseason from the Boston Red Sox. Loves him in the clubhouse, and obviously he's produced. We talked to him about that unreal surgery that he was able to come back from, the sleep apnea and the inability to sleep. Can't imagine what he went through, and now he feels better about not only life but playing the game.
He's 1-1 in World Series play. He lost with the Texas Rangers in their heartbreaking series against St. Louis. Losses in games 6 and 7, but he won with Boston against St. Louis in 2013. He's been at it a long time. He's clutch. Francona said everybody follows him. Some guys are scared of him. That is in at the knees, 2-2.
I just find the irony in his name. Nap. Not able to take a nap. And now he can. He can sleep. Maybe not all the way through, but he can sleep a lot easier today than a couple years ago.
1 out, nobody on. Napoli strikes out. Good pitch from Lester, 2 out. We can save the video for later with Baez and Lindor. Let's go to Tom Verducci to hear more about the sleep issues that Mike Napoli dealt with.
Yeah, guys, his sleep apnea was so bad they figured out about more than 100 times a night he would stop breathing. So it was 2 years ago that he had his surgery, bimaxillary advancement surgery, very serious surgery. And he said the difference now is that he's actually dreaming again. That's right. Before he didn't sleep long enough to have any REM sleep. Now he is back to dreaming, sleeping 6 or 7 hours a night rather than 2 hours at a time. So, of course, I asked him if he dreamed of the World Series. And he said, no, they're really weird, the dreams I'm having now. I'd rather not go there.
Here's one in at the knees to Carlos Santana. Well, again, Napoli's just a born leader. Sleep apnea can be very serious. And so he dealt with that. Said I got to the ballpark just worn out every day until they figured out how to correct it. The 0-1. That's strike 2, and Lester's pitching well now here in the 5th inning. Napoli referenced it with regard to Terry Francona. He said guys follow his lead. Some guys are scared of him in a good way.
Yeah.
He's an intimidating guy. That bounces in. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Well, it's just leadership and what he's been through, and certainly Terry Francona knows every scenario you can imagine, having won championships and coming over here to Cleveland. The resources may not have been many, but he's used every resource he's had. They don't have the budget a lot of teams have, but they make the most of it.
Dustin Pedroia was kind of the go-between for Napoli and Francona. Pedroia telling Francona, you got to get Mike Napoli. He will make a huge difference. He led him in RBIs. A strike 3 called on Carlos Santana. And Lester's really settled in. He struck out 6, but the Indians lead by 3 after 5. Day in Cleveland, Ohio. Celebrations all over the place. The Cleveland Cavaliers, who came back from down 3 games to 1 to beat the Golden State Warriors in the NBA Finals in June. They raised the championship banner. They got their rings tonight, and then they won the game. LeBron had a triple-double in that game, and then next door, it's Gateway Plaza in between next door. The home of the Indians. Cleveland leading 3-0 as we go to the 6th inning, top of the order for the Cubs. And Dexter Fowler takes a ball, and with that we can shift some of our focus out to the bullpen, where a lanky left-hander named Andrew Miller is starting to get loose for Terry Francona. There's a strike. So much movement on these.
He's been unbelievable. He really has. And this is going to sound really stupid, but if you're the Cubs, you just want to see anybody else. You don't care if it's this guy, because Kluber has been so locked in. They've had no good swings.
Ground ball to Kipnis, gets the high hop, 1 out. Fowler 0 for 3 tonight. Our game summary is sponsored by Bud Light. Kluber, 3 hits, no runs, 9 strikeouts, no walks. 6 of the strikeouts looking, by the way. That tells you how good his stuff is. Perez a solo shot in the 4th, and Schwarber, he comes back out of nowhere and hits a double in his 2nd at bat.
Now, I know I'm going to preface this by saying, look, the Cleveland Indians are in a different situation, so they need Kluber more often. But in a normal situation in the postseason, you would never think about taking this guy out of the game. This is a different time. This is a different team, and they rely on their bullpen. a lot more than they rely on their starters due to the injuries. But you think about both of these teams, they're built around great starting pitching. The Cubs stayed healthy, the Indians didn't, but they won their divisions because they dominated their division with their starting staff.
The 0-1 now. Bryant fouls one back here. Well, in the ALCS, the Indians got 22 innings pitched out of their starters, 22 innings pitched out of their bullpen. And that big weapon of Andrew Miller is getting loose. This crowd wants to see strikeout number 10. Bryant trying to get on. Ball one. The Indians are not going to announce who their Game 4 starter is. Tomorrow it's Trevor Bauer against Jake Arrieta. Travel day on Thursday. Josh Tomlin against Kyle Hendricks on Friday. And then John Lackey in Game 4 on Saturday. There's a 1-2. Popped up behind the plate. Perez waits. 2 out. And with the bases empty, the batter will be Anthony Rizzo. Tonight's telecast is sponsored by AT&T. Mobilizing your world. Just to finish the thought, John, when we talked to Terry Francona, the manager of the Indians, before the game and said, do you expect to bring Corey Kluber back on short rest for Game 4? He kind of pulled his glasses down to the end of his nose and looked at us like, what are you, nuts? Of course I am.
Yeah, absolutely. And if he goes according to plan, this would be his last batter if he gets him out through 6. There's a big difference besides the DH here in Cleveland. The foul territory and behind home plate much bigger than Wrigley Field, and we've already seen some pop-ups that would have been in the stands at Wrigley Field that have been able to be caught. Obviously the wind helping out.
Here's the 0-1. Steady breeze from the start of this game, blowing in basically from center. Might have held the ball that Schwarber hit off the wall in the 4th inning. Held it in the ballpark. Then he was stranded. Nasty on the pitch, down and in, strike 2.
And that's all protecting Rizzo from the fastball that he thinks is starting on that plane and catching the inside part of the plate. So he goes in with the cutter slider. No chance for Rizzo.
Everybody flinched. 2-2.
Pitch recognition is so important for hitters. I just think they recognize the last pitch, and when you have the last pitch height of a fastball that catches the corner, you cannot see the spin of a breaking ball. You're attacking it as if it was a fastball. That's why you swing at it.
Kluber. Rizzo, a pop-up. The catcher, Perez, has it to end the inning. And it's all 28 tonight. Corey Kluber at the front end of this rotation. Former Cy Young Award winner. A 3-hit shutout through 6. 3-0. Cleveland. Jose Ramirez first up. He's 2 for 2 tonight. His infield hit plated the first run back in the 1st inning. Came with the bases loaded. Everybody moved up 90 feet. Then Brandon Guyer was hit by a pitch. A 2-run 1st inning for Cleveland. Then a home run by Roberto Perez, their catcher. It's been all Kluber, and Lester has settled in now. He has struck out 6 and allowed just 5 hits. But he's on the wrong end of this one so far. 2-0 the count on Ramirez. In at the knees, 2-1.
Ramirez has been so good this year. It doesn't matter if it's a left-handed pitcher or a right-handed pitcher. Virtually hitting the same. A little more power against right-handers with 7 home runs, but 311 and 312. That's balance.
2-1. We haven't seen a lot of that tonight, as opposed to Lester's last start, which was in Game 5 of the NLCS out in LA. He and the Cubs won. Showing bunt. Now a shot into right center field. This ball is down into the wall. Ramirez digs for second. He's there with a leadoff double. 3 for 3.
The reason he's so good is he doesn't try to pull everything. He goes exactly where the pitch is thrown. Right center, stays back, splits the outfielders, making it look real easy here. In his first World Series, he's not bothered by anything.
Now the Cubs get action in their bullpen as Chris Bosio comes out to talk to Lester. Ramirez now with 2 singles, a double.
Well, this conversation is going to be twofold. It's going to obviously slow it down a little bit to get the bullpen going, but then talk about the bunt situation. You would think to add on here that Cleveland Indians, even though American League, you mentioned more of a reverse team, play National League style baseball. I would think that the strategy would be to bunt. And if you're going to bunt, you bunt to third base, make Bryant field the ball.
The batter's Geyer. 0 for 1, hit by a pitch, has an RBI. Ramirez at second with nobody out. 3-0 Indians, and a look back at the runner.
But if you trust your hitter that he can hit the ball the other way and possibly drive him in with a hit, you let him swing. A left-hander on deck is Chisenhall. See what Terry Francona decides.
Right-hander Strope in the bullpen for the Cubs. Now Travis Wood, the left-hander, joins Pedro Strope. Two and 1 at 93 miles per hour. Geyer, a big on-base percentage against left-handed pitching this year, .465.
Ideally, Lester would love to get him to pull the ball, either to Bryant or Russell.
2-1. Good pitch down and in, 2-2.
There's the hard cutter down where he hit him in the right knee earlier. Bases loaded. RBI. Hit by pitch.
Lefty Chisenhall is next. Leadoff double by Ramirez. A 2-2 pitch now to Geyer. Got him looking, and a big strikeout for Lester. Number 7 on the night.
Well, that's the side of the plate to go, and both Ross and Lester working hard to get this call all night, and it paid off because that pitch was off the plate. And you can see where Ross was set up, but that has been the lenient side of the plate. I don't care what anyone tells me, the human factor of an umpire always is going to have one side over the other that might have an inch that you can get.
Now Chisenhall, runner at second, 1 out. Geyer did not advance the runner. Well hit into left field, but back is Zobrist. A few steps in front of the track. He's got out number 2. And Lester is 2/3 of the way through trying to get around a leadoff double. He is tough, and he is gone. That's going to be it, with the catcher Roberto Perez coming up. Pedro Strop is coming in. 3-0. Indians lead it. Strop will try to keep it that way. Telecast is presented by T-Mobile One. There is rain in the forecast for tomorrow, and the rain's supposed to get heavier as we go, and because of that, everything's been moved up an hour. So make note of that. Coverage on FS1 begins at 6 o'clock Eastern time tomorrow night. First pitch at 7:08 Eastern on Fox. So everything's up an hour for Game 2 with the hope of getting it in before a travel day on Thursday. Our AT&T call to the bullpen. Here's Pedro Strop after 5 2/3 innings from John Lester. Was that a little power surge? Was that lightning? What was that? I think just a power surge. But that got everybody's attention. Lights dimmed and then went back to full strength. Runner at second, 2 out, and a swing and a miss by Roberto Perez.
Great breaking stuff out of Strop. Electric fastball. Only command issues sometimes get him in trouble. I'm still a little surprised that Ramirez stayed at second base. Second base is not the only base the Cleveland Indians are going to be able to steal, or could have stolen, off of Lester. Third was there for him, but he chose not to.
A check swing. He did not go around. Leadoff double in the inning. Lester a good job to get a strikeout of Geyer. Then Chisenhall on the fly ball to rather deep left. And Pedro Strop, the right-hander who came over with tomorrow night starter Jake Arrieta from the Orioles, is ahead on the count here, 1-2.
That's what's amazing about the postseason. It was an innocent start to that first inning. 2 outs, nobody on. Lindor gets on, the one guy you can't afford if you're John Lester. Steals second, then a walk. Just all kinds of things. To get 3 outs in the postseason in the first inning was not real easy after getting the first 2. And that's the story. 2 runs in the first.
Breaking ball got him looking, and Perez goes down. And a good job by the Cubs to get around that leadoff double. It's still a 3-0 game. Back after this from your local Fox station. Struck him out. World Series history. Number 28 is on. And he's still on the mound. 85 pitches later. He works into the 7th inning with a heart of the order. Zobrist, Schwarber, and Baez. Miller's ready if and when, but it's Kluber up by 3. Good tight breaking ball for strike 1.
He's got the video game breaking ball that you have when you're playing at home and making everybody look foolish. That's what he's doing tonight.
A 3-hit shutout. Zobrist has one of the hits. It was a leadoff double in the second. In a 2-0 game, and then Kluber, after the double by Zobrist, struck out Schwarber, Baez, and Coghlan.
Pretty good stat.
60 straight wins when leading by 3 or more runs for Terry Francona. That's into left field, a base hit, and a good start to the inning for the Cubs. Zobrist 2 for 3. And with Schwarber coming up, we'll see if that's it for Kluber. Here comes Francona, who is 8-0 as a manager during World Series play. 04 and 07. The young man from Coppell, Texas. Saluted as he leaves here in Game 1. bigger in-season pickup across baseball than Andrew Miller, coming from the Yankees to the Indians. And they had to give up 2 serious prospects to get him. Center fielder Clint Frazier, Justice Sheffield, a left-handed pitcher. It was a big deal, and it's paid off. Schwarber takes a ball down from Miller, who was the MVP of the American League Championship Series.
Yeah, you talk about not fair for sure. This is one of those matchups. We already described what Schwarber's feeling in his first comeback after the knee surgery. Try to face this guy at 6'10" with a slider that sweeps across the plate and a fastball that reaches 97 miles an hour. This guy from the third base side of the rubber throws across his body and has angles that are just difficult for any hitter to pick up.
Here's a 1-1. That's down 2-1. Meanwhile, the Indians have him under control through 2018 at $9 million per. 88 pitch night for Corey Kluber. Now he hands it off. The ALCS, 14 strikeouts over 7 2/3 innings pitched. Good swing by Schwarber with the count 2-2.
Well, one of the things that works out in a player's career, not always, but Miller, failed starter, has now become one of the most valuable commodities. He's learned how to throw strikes. He's simplified his mechanics, and he's a great weapon for Terry Francona.
Just upstairs, a full count.
It's a great pitch away and a great take. Thinking along with Perez and Miller, you almost think you got to throw a 3-2 slider here to Schwarber, who hasn't seen many like this.
Schwarber takes a walk. And with that, Chicago has the tying run coming to the plate with nobody out in the 7th.
That is a tremendous at-bat. We talked about him tracking over 1,300 pitches off of a pitching machine, but there is no way to explain to you at home how he laid off that pitch other than he did, because that's the slider right now that all left-handers have a hard time laying off.
What an at-bat by Kyle Schwarber. Now it's Javier Baez. Talked a lot about Lindor. Baez having a tremendous postseason with swings like that at 95 miles per hour. 7 RBIs for Javier. 0 for 2 tonight. 13 of 40 now in the postseason. Sitting over 340 this postseason coming into tonight. Here's the 0-1. Strike 2.
You would think that the only chance you have against Miller is for a right-handed batter, but again, the angles and the sharpness of that break, he can sweep it away, backdoor the slider, or drop it at your back foot. You always have to be prepared for the fastball, because no hitter wants to get beat by the fastball, and then that slider spin disappears.
On deck is Wilson Contreras. He'll bat for Coughlin. Contreras is hitting .400 this postseason and homered in Game 6 of the NLCS.
Baez has done a much better job cutting down his swing, but the one in the dirt still gives him problems. That slider was too high for Miller. You go higher than high with the fastball or in the dirt with the slider.
That's into left field, a base hit. It will load the bases with nobody out. Here come the Cubs in the 7th inning with 2 hits and a walk.
Once again, this ball's got to bounce. Baez has done a good job cutting down. It doesn't bounce too high of a pitch. And Baez, who does a great job getting the barrel of the bat to the ball, just enough to get a base hit. It sounds crazy, but sometimes a different look. And no matter how great Miller is, Kluber was absolutely carving him up. And now another young, fearless Cub comes to the plate.
A hit by the 23-year-old Javier Baez leads to the 24-year-old Wilson Contreras, with a 22-year-old Addison Russell on deck. Tying runs are on. Ball one as Contreras showed bunt, and he is constant motion at home plate. Cleveland has put up 15 consecutive scoreless innings dating back to the Toronto ALCS. Opportunity is knocking for the Cubs. Pop up, shallow center. This ball is caught. The runner at second took off, but the center fielder Davis didn't see him. And the throw came to the plate. They had a double play staring them in the face. Schwarber was dead between second and third, and Rajai Davis just did not see it.
Well, here's the problem. He's coming back from the knee surgery, so you know he wants to get a break. He hasn't been able to see on the bases and read the ball. And this throw at home is the only reason why he's not out at second. And you really can't blame Davis because he's concentrating on the runner tagging from third. But Schwarber just not, he almost gives up right there. Got a lucky break. That's just not being on the bases and recognizing the everyday.
Addison Russell takes a strike. Rajai Davis did a good job to cover a ton of ground on that falling fly ball, shallow center, and missed a chance for a double play. Here's the 0-1. Strike two on Russell.
Well, Miller, another good matchup for Miller. Russell with the big leg kick, trying to get something out over the plate he can drive. Anything down, again, down in the dirt, Russell will not be able to lay off of anything down, and a fastball way up. Trust your catcher. And he'll block it.
The 0-2. Struck him out, 2 down.
It takes tremendous discipline as a hitter to say anything that starts at my knees I've got to lay off of, but that's easier said than done. This is the left-handed version of Kluber's slider.
And the guy who started this game and who's become a spectator like the result of that. Now the bases are loaded with 2 outs. And the batter will be David Ross. Our T-Mobile 1 in-game box score for the Cubs. Zobrist with 2 hits. Schwarber has a double and now a big walk in this inning. Baez a hit in this 7th, but no damage done yet. Against Andrew Miller, it's going to take something from the veteran catcher David Ross. Ball 1, and now Miller looks in. Ross has a hit tonight, and he's lined out. In case you're wondering, the last grand slam given up by Andrew Miller, Ben Zobrist, back in 2011. And Ben and Joe Madden were with the Rays. Right now, the Cubs just looking for a hit, anything to get on the board. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Such a violent break, coming from an angle, much like Randy Johnson. Hitters just don't see this very often.
Oh. That was low, ball 2.
This should follow a slider right here if you're following along. Fastball down, beat Ross. He just took it, got the call, a ball.
Now ball 3.
Now Ross a little up there in age, got to start the engines a little quicker than most people. 3-1 lock in on a pitch over the middle of the plate. And if Miller has the guts to throw a slider, so be it. You got to be looking to hit one pitch in one area if you're David Ross.
In at the knees, full count.
And he had the guts to do it. So a good take. And now you throw that complete out of Ross's mind what to look for. Wasn't going to hit it if he pulled the trigger. Same scenario for Ross. And Miller shown he can throw slider any time, any pitch, any count.
Runners will go. That will help Schwarber at second on a hit. He tied it up. Went around, struck him out. Inning over. And Miller's dominance continues. Kluber hands to Miller. Time to stretch in game 1. Nasty. Indians lead 3-zip. Well, with a temperature at 50 degrees at the start of the night, it's dropping. The wind has picked up a bit. Some precipitation in the forecast for tomorrow. Rajai Davis will lead it off. He's 0 for 3. Pedro Strop finished off the 6th inning, now working the 7th. And a pop-up out behind second base. That's for Baez, who can make even a pop-up fun to watch. Tonight's telecast is sponsored by T-Mobile, bringing you greater coverage of tonight's game. And by Bank of America. Joe Maddon to the mound. Pedro Strop faces 2 batters, retires them both with a strikeout. Back to the bullpen goes Maddon in a 3-0 game in the 7th.
In the Cowboy showdown with the Eagles.
Do we have to talk about the Cowboys in every show?
They keep proving you wrong. Undisputed, 9:30 Eastern, FS1.
And the Cubs have gone back to their bullpen. First it was Strop, and now it's Travis Wood, the left-hander. Welcome into this game. If you're just joining us, it's been a good one, 3-0. And all Corey Kluber, and now Andrew Miller is in on the fun for Cleveland. Here's Wood. Travis deals a strike into Jason Kipnis, the second baseman for the Indians. Wood was busy. Sorry I didn't give you a chance to talk. Awkward on camera. That is a breaking ball down, but at the knees. Kipnis didn't like it. 0-2.
And Travis Wood has found a home too in the bullpen. Once a starter for the Cincinnati Reds. Good athletes, played the field. Left field for Matt, can hit. Already hit a home run in this postseason.
There are the changes. Almora's in right. Contreras stays in the game catching. Wood pitching. Almora will hit 9th. Contreras is in that 7 spot. This is just a 3-run game, and the Cubs have the top of their order in the 8th inning. Wood trying to keep this one within reach. Kipnis. Ball 2.
You know, you don't get moral victories in the World Series. So watch Grimm get ready. But if nothing else, the Cubs know they're going to see Miller several times in this series if it goes much past 4 or 5 games. And to have that tiny success, even though they didn't cash in, see how it plays out.
Kipnis, a 2-time All-Star. And a guy who credits the previous manager here with the Indians, Manny Acta, for helping the Make him the big leaguer that he is, now playing for Terry Francona, who, we said this earlier in the postseason, I don't think a manager has had more of a hand in a team's success than he did with the Red Sox. Veteran team, the injury to Schilling, the bullpen, using Keith Folk in the right spots. When the Boston Red Sox broke that 86-year curse, if you want to call it that, and won it all in 2004. He won 2 rings in Boston. Stays 2-2.
Well, he also said early on in the postseason with a rather young team why he went to Miller as much as he did. He felt winning that first game was so important. Winning game 1 of the World Series, the last 12 out of 13 winners of game 1 have gone on to win the World Series.
Just missed. There are a handful of guys who are legitimately funny who have played this game. Bob Uecker, #1. Terry Francona is legitimately funny. His personality is all over this scrappy Cleveland Indians team. They love playing for him the way the Cubs love playing for Joe Madden. 3-2 pitch to the shortstop. Addison Russell guides it across. 2 out. Let's go back to 1963. Tito Francona, Terry's dad, enjoyed a 15-year major league career. Spent 6 of them in Cleveland, the most productive years of his career. In 1959, 5th in the MVP voting. 20 home runs, hit .363. That figure would have won the batting title, but Tito fell short of the minimum number of plate appearances. Terry played 10 big league seasons, 88 with Cleveland, Montreal Expos. Had a horrible leg injury that really, in essence, ended his career. Pitching change here for the Cubs. Grimm coming in. A 3-run game in the 7th. If you call yourself a sports fan, you got to get DirecTV. Call 1-800-DirecTV. Bottom of the 7th inning, 2 out, nobody on. Third pitcher of the inning is Justin Grimm. And another base hit for Lindor. Into right center field. Fowler cuts it off, but it's a double. He's 3 out of 4. And makes it look easy. He's aggressive. He's smiling. He can play.
The reliever comes in the first pitch. Looked live that he crossed up his catcher. Catcher looking breaking ball. He throws fastball. Lindor with a double. Let's look at it again. You see what he's setting up. He's got his glove positioned in a way for a breaking ball. I haven't seen that too many times. Nobody on base. Missed the sign.
Lindor and Baez, who played against each other in high school, were messing around out at second base a moment ago. Here's Napoli. A walk, a run scored, and 2 strikeouts. Led this Cleveland team in RBIs with 101. 3 for his last 18. Did homer in the ALCS in Toronto.
See the way he holds his bat and his swing path. He's got rather long swing, which generates a lot of power when he hits the ball up in the air. And I happened to ask him, I said, man, it sure looks like you got a really long bat. Matter of fact, he does, and he's gone up in weight and size. 35.5 inches. That'd be pretty strong throughout the year. He said he likes using that kind of bat and weight because it then allows him to use his hands more instead of his body. If you use your body, there's no way to generate the bat speed or the power that he displays.
Here's a 2-0 from Grimm. Runner at second, 2 out. Good pitch. How weird is it that the Indians, they swept Boston. It only took them 5 games to get past Toronto. and they have not scored a run after the 6th inning in the postseason. That's unbelievable.
It really is. Credit to their bullpen, shutting it down.
That's off the end of the bat. Rizzo flips for the out, and good work by the Chicago bullpen. Sends game 1 into the 8th inning, and 2 old friends, 2 young stars in the game, having fun. In game 1, the Indians lead at 3-zip. 3-0. Cleveland leads it. Top of the order for Chicago, and that means Fowler, Bryant, and Rizzo. Dexter Fowler is 0 for 3. The top 3 spots in this lineup for the Cubs in this game 1 right now. 0 for 9 with 4 strikeouts. There's the 3, 4, 5 hitters that were struggling early in that NLCS before they really kicked it into gear starting in game 4. Bryant's been solid throughout. Rizzo will follow Chris, and that's into center. Back is Davis. Wind holds it up, and Fowler's 0 for 4. There's our set. And coming up after tonight's game, baseball's most talked about post-game show, Kevin, A-Rod, Frank, and Pete, as they break down tonight's game. That's next over on FS1, or watch it live on Fox Sports Go. Reminder for tomorrow, we are on the air on FS1 at 6 Eastern, not 7 Eastern. Everything moved up an hour because of the rain that's in the forecast for Cleveland. First pitch at 7:08 Eastern. Well, 1 inside to Bryant. Chris has struck out twice, fouled out. 94 from Miller, a ball and a strike.
Tremendous extension out of Miller. Almost looks like he's literally throwing halfway from the rubber to catcher.
That's just inside as the closer for Cleveland, Cody Allen, gets loose.
Before you think that this process that Terry Francona is utilizing in the postseason cannot do this during the regular season. These guys would not stay healthy. But in the postseason, a condensed version of a series with off days, Terry Francona can use his bullpen for multiple innings.
Coming off 5 days of rest at the end of the ALCS. That's outside. Full count.
Makes it so tough, as we saw in the previous inning. 3-2 is not your traditional 3-2 fastball. Go ahead and see how far you can hit it. He could throw his slider anytime and feed off the aggressiveness of the hitter trying to catch up to his heater.
A wild walk. That's the second walk handed out by Miller.
So here's what it looks like if you're sitting at home thinking, oh yeah, what's so nasty about this? Well, every one of them looks like a strike, and they end up out of the zone. 17 thrown last inning, only 5 thrown for strikes, but every one of these looks like it's crossing the plate, especially this last one right here. That's why Ross couldn't hold his swing. Tremendous tilt, staying on top of the ball, the arm angle and the spin. Tough to pick up.
That last one on Ross was with the bases loaded. 2 out and a 3-2 count. A slider from Miller, who came back after falling behind on the count for the strikeout on the check swing. Now Rizzo.
Miller faces so many right-handers, as you can imagine, out of the pen, that his angle to right-handers in his slider almost better than the angle he tries to create against left-handers. Of course, Rizzo right on top of the plate. He's going to have to start it at his hip.
1 ball, 1 strike.
And the point is, when a pitcher looks at an area where he wants a pitch to end up against a right-hander, there's a lot of space. a left-hander, he sees him throwing across his body, trying to sweep that pitch across the plate.
Strike two. Rizzo tonight has popped up 3 times. Check swing. He didn't go. On the count 2-2. Andrew Miller had walked only 2 this postseason in 11 2/3 innings. Rizzo did hold up. Coming into tonight's game, he's walked 2 here tonight.
Rizzo choking up with 2 strikes, as he normally does.
That'll get out of play. The last Cleveland blown save came in the middle of August 17th against the White Sox. Since then, 18 for 18 in nailing down wins. And the guy in the bullpen, Cody Allen, 5 for 5 this postseason. But right now it's Miller. 2-2. Full count.
So far, the Cubs tracking it pretty well. Again, seeing Miller is going to be a theme that they know they would like to avoid in this series. But the more looks they get at him, you would think gives them a better chance later in the series.
3-2. Got under it again. This one into shallow center. Davis is there and has it for out number 2. With 2 out and a runner at first, the batter will be Zobrist. Zobrist has had a nice night. 2 out of 3, and his hit back in the 7th, the second of the night, chased Corey Kluber. And the Cubs had the bases loaded, nobody out, could not get a run home. Ryan at first, 2 out, ball 1.
That's pitch number 39. Certainly, Terry Francona is not concerned whatsoever about tomorrow. He wants today to go the way he wants and put that win in the book. But the Cubs have made Miller work.
They usually make pitchers work. They got aggressive against Kershaw in Game 6 of the NLCS. Zobrist taking a strike. And that's called strike 1, 2-1. He questions the home plate umpire Larry Vanover. That's a base hit into right center field. Going over to third is Bryant on the 3rd hit of the night for Ben Zobrist. And with that, the tying run is coming up. And it's the DH Kyle Schwarber.
Can't write a script for that.
Andrew Miller and what he's done. You see the run differential. 3 runs up. Came on in the 7th. He's in the 8th. They trust him. He's delivered. But now it's Schwarber.
See if Schwarber sit on a fastball first pitch. He was really good in his first at bat, taking sliders.
Strike 1. Schwarber doubled off the wall in the 4th, walked against Andrew Miller in the 7th. Just activated. And went all the way back from 2 torn tendons in his knee that he suffered on April 7th. And under the radar, he got ready. And here he is. He has been disciplined.
He has. You can't sit on his slider. You got to sit on his fastball and hope he makes a mistake with his slider in the area you're looking for his fastball. So anything outside, you got to just absolute take, and so far he has. Sometimes a pitcher can be so nasty, the hitter looks good taking it. He was just fooled and couldn't hit it.
Two balls, 2 strikes.
That was the one. The pitch up, the high slider. Schwarber just misses it.
Highest pitch count in a game this season for Andrew Miller. It's going to take him at least 46. Andrew Miller to bend. He didn't break 46 pitches. That's the most for him in any game this season. He goes 2, allows no runs, 2 hits, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts. And it's interesting looking ahead to tomorrow night in game 2. We'll get into that here in a second. Grimm back to work. Santana first up, ball 1.
Here's the first thing he's going to say to his manager tomorrow. Skip, I'm good. He's never not wanted to pitch, and that's what makes him so valuable to the Indians.
Trevor Bauer gets the ball for Cleveland in game 2. This is out of play. He'll make his 3rd postseason start. He's got 2 no decisions. Game 1 against Boston in the division series. He didn't go 5, and then many have seen the video of him in game 3 of the ALCS in Toronto with that wound on his pinky, on his pitching hand, gushing blood. He only went 2/3 of an inning. That's a strike. It's strike 2 on Santana. So I know where you're going with that. Andrew Miller's always going to want to pitch, but that was a long effort here tonight for the big left-hander.
Yes, it was, and I still think that's what he'll tell him, whether he puts him in or not. The theme of tonight has been for me, look, this Cubs lineup can hit a fastball. If you can spin the baseball, which there are a lot of guys on this Indian team that can do it, you get a chance to wiggle out of trouble. 8 strikeouts with runners on, 7 or 6 of them with runners in scoring position. And that's how the Indians have gotten in and out of trouble when they've been there.
This one bounces in, and he went around as Contreras blocks it. Santana strikes out, 1 away in the 8th.
Speaking of spinning a baseball, that's exactly what Grimm did here.
So with 1 out, here's Jose Ramirez looking for his 4th hit. The last and only Cleveland Indian with a 4-hit game in the World Series, Vic Wertz. In game 1 of the '54 Fall Classic. Known for hitting that fly ball to Willie Mays at the Polo Grounds that Mays chased down. That's what Jose Ramirez is trying to do, put up a 4-hit game. 2 singles and a double. And an RBI. Ball and a strike from Justin Grimm.
Like I said, it doesn't matter to him, right or left-handed. He has shown to be super comfortable at the plate all year.
Got under it into center for Dexter Fowler. 2 out, nobody on. Geyer coming up. Junior Home Run Derby allows kids 14 and under to compete for the National Home Run Derby Championship at the 2017 All-Star Game. Sign up today to host a free competition in your local community at jrhrd.com. Geyer is 0 for 2, was hit by a pitch in the first inning with the bases loaded to drive home a run. Second run of the inning, and a home run off the bat of Roberto Perez. In the fourth, made it 3-0 in the pitching of Kluber and Andrew Miller. Next will be Cody Allen. Shut out the Cubs on 6 hits. One-0 pitch to Geyer. Aaron Charlton, who is with StatsInc and with us in the booth tonight, tells us that World Series Game 1 history all time, there are 3 pitchers with 9 or more strikeouts and no runs allowed to the history of the World Series, and Kluber is on that list now, with Bob Gibson in '68 for the Cardinals against the Tigers, and Allie Reynolds, 49, the Yankees against the Dodgers. Two-0 pitch. Good curveball from Grimm. 2-1. Heavy assist from Don Hartack, who's working back in the office with all the stats that we throw at you during the postseason. Happy to have those guys help us. Here's a 2-1. Boy, Grimm has thrown some good pitches here in Game 1. 2-2.
Yeah, I said he can spin it. He's got that downer curveball. To go along with 96, 97 on our fastball.
The Cubs in the 9th inning will have Baez, Contreras, and Addison Russell. If anybody gets on the number 9 spot, which right now is occupied by Albert Almora.
The combinations that work in this game, and I believe the curveball's making a comeback. Saw Rich Hill in his comeback throwing primarily 51% curveballs. High fastballs, curveball combination. Low fastballs, slider combination.
That's a 2-out walk. Lonnie Chisenhall will be the hitter.
The reason that works for a pitcher is because that last pitch recognition. If you've got a traditional good arm fastball on the top of the zone, you follow it up with a curveball. The 2 different areas that a hitter, unless he's just a free swinger, he won't swing up and then swing down, meaning balls in the dirt. But if your fastball is at the shin guards of the catcher, you follow that with a tight breaking slider. He cannot lay off of it. Most guys just can't.
Says the Hall of Famer John Smoltz, with 1 on, 2 out, a check on the runner, and Geyer back without a tag. That's Sandy Alomar, the first base coach for the Cleveland Indians. And a beloved player here in the mid-90s. MVP of the All-Star game here in '97. Part of the World Series team that lost to the Marlins. Ball 1 now to Chisenhall. Two and 0. Comes Chris Bosio, pitching coach in his 5th year with the Chicago Cubs. his second with Joe Madden. Madden took over last year when he popped loose. Was out there on the market. The timetable was expedited a bit for the Cubs. That's when they got Madden, when they signed John Lester. It all came together here in 2016 for a team that led baseball with 103 wins and is built to win now. And with the youth on this team, in my opinion, the team to beat for quite a while to come.
Yeah, absolutely. They only had one low, and that was right around the All-Star break. Just before it, pitchers ran into a little bad stretch, and right after the All-Star break, right back where they left off. Dominating.
Chisenhall with a count in his favor, 2-0. In case you're wondering about Geyer, he stole 3 bases, caught twice during the regular season. That's into left field, a base hit. And it's 2 on with 2 out. A walk, a single. With the number 9 man, Roberto Perez, coming up. And that's going to be it for Justin Grimm. Back to the bullpen goes Joe Madden. Pitching change in the 8th. Rondon coming in. We welcome you back to the World Series on Fox. Tonight's telecast presented by T-Mobile One. 3-0 Indians. Bottom of the 8th inning of game 1. 2 on, 2 out. The number 9 man, Roberto Perez, who's caught a gem and who's homered tonight, will deal with the former closer, Hector Rondon. He was the guy until the Cubs went out and got Chapman. Certainly was the guy last year, Rondon. Trying to keep it within reach. 3-0, bottom of the 8th. Good speed on. Perez, ball 1. Trevor Bauer and Jake Arrieta tomorrow night, starting an hour earlier because of the weather forecast. Timeout called before the pitch.
Yeah, good thing Rondon went ahead and threw it. That's how you get hurt, trying to stop. So he did the right thing, even though time was called. Power fastball, power breaking ball. Doing a great job. You mentioned Chapman came along, did get hurt, forearm issues. So he spent a little time on the DL.
Comes a 1-0. Fastball poured in at 95. A ball and a strike. Strike 2. StatCast is powered by Amazon Web Services. In the 4th, Roberto Perez. 391 feet over that yellow line. His second of the postseason. Made it 3-0. It's still 3-0 thanks to Kluber and Miller. Big job here by Rondon. 2-2.
Pulling the breaking ball too far away, get it over the middle of the plate. Anywhere over the middle of the plate towards the shin guard, and Perez will swing. Swing he did, but not the location Rondon wanted.
And the first runs Cleveland has scored after the 6th inning all postseason come on one swing from Roberto Perez. What a night for the young catcher.
Well, Rondon was pulling his breaking ball, and this is the definition of a hanger when a guy goes up there and sees one middle. This is a hanger. This is the one a pitcher knows as soon as he lets go. He does not have to turn around, and Rondon did not turn around.
Two-0 pitch now. 3-0 the count on Rajai Davis.
What a game Perez is having. Catching a gem. 2 big swings.
That's into right. Down. Almora can't make the play. The ball's in front of him, and Davis scoots into second with a double. Roberto Perez is now on a short list of Cleveland Indians hitters with multiple homer games in the postseason with Manny Ramirez and Jim Thome.
It's amazing what the World Series can do. Guys that you traditionally think, because of their batting average and because they're struggling at the plate, you make them try to beat you. Well, for the night, Perez said, take that. Take notice and don't hang anything in here.
Now Kipnis, strike one. Andrew Miller, another night, another job well done, although this one wasn't as routine as some of the others have been. Most important stat for him is putting up zeros, and it's 6-0 here in the 8th. That's strike 2 on Kipnis.
I said the Indians had to be very opportunistic in how they score, and they don't score a ton. At least they have it this postseason. But with 2 outs, a base hit, a stolen base, and 2 uncharacteristic walks out of Lester, a swinging bunt hit and a hit batsman, they scored those 2 runs with 2 outs, and then right here, a 3-run homer with 2 outs. That's how they've been getting it done.
It started with a 2-out walk to Geyer on a 3-2 pitch. Now Kipnis rolls one fair to first, and that ends the inning. But Rondon comes in with 2 on, 2 out. And Roberto Perez goes deep. It's been a big night in Cleveland, Ohio. The championship banner raised next door for the world champion Cavaliers. And the Indians 3 defensive outs away from a 1-0 lead in the World Series 2016. Javier Baez swung at the first pitch, fouled it back as the Indians bring their closer Cody Allen into the game. Look at his numbers during this postseason. 5 for 5 in the save category. And this is the formula that Terry Francona wanted. Kluber, Miller, Allen. And he's gotten the timely hits. The Cubs have not, obviously. The Indians pitchers are doing to the Cubs what they did to the Red Sox and then the Blue Jays.
Cody Allen is just another version of Corey Kluber, if you ask me. with similar stuff, but just a much firmer fastball. He can spin it with a breaking ball that falls off the table. But here he's pretty much going to go after him, I would think, with a 6-run lead. Might spin one right here just to get a strikeout.
And he does. One away. The Indians held Boston and Toronto to a combined average, John, of 129 with runners on base. That's how you win postseason series. And tonight, the Cubs are 2 for 13 with runners on base and 8 strikeouts.
They've just done a better job, the Indians have, executing in pressure pitches with 2 strikes, 3-2 count, going for the kill when they have it, and only making a couple mistakes, really.
Here comes a 1-0 pitch to Wilson Contreras, 0 for 1 since entering as a pinch hitter. And almost got him. On the hands, the wrist, the forearms, it's inside 2-0. The last Game 1 shutout was thrown by the Reds against the A's in 1990. 7-0 win for Cincinnati. 2-0 pitch. That's foul.
Well, earlier I thought the key for the Cubs was going to be don't miss the fastball, and they really never were given an opportunity to locate or get after the fastball because Corey Kluber painted the fastball on the inner half part of the plate against a lot of left-handers. Maybe Zobrist had one of the better approach for the Cubs tonight, the way he was swinging.
He had 3 hits. That's high. 3-1.
Sometimes in this game, I know even Pete Rose talked about the ability to make in-game adjustments and maybe back off the plate. Guys today just aren't equipped to do that. Younger players are stuck in their ways, and they certainly have had success.
That's well hit into right. Back at the track. It is off the wall. Contreras with an extra base hit with 1 out. And he will hold at second with a 1-out double. Chisenhall with a leap and could not find the baseball.
I think Contreras thought this was a homer right here. You got to run. It would have been a triple. The score is 6-0, but in a much tighter game, you cannot afford to assume anything at this level and this importance.
So not running out of the box cost him an extra base. Instead of a triple, it's a double as Chisenhall could not make the connection in right.
Well, the stands in right field, the wind's blowing in, but the stands in right field have the 3 tiers, so maybe blocks that wind just a little bit, and that ball carried pretty well to right field.
Batter now is Addison Russell. Let's just finish the story about, well, 2 stories to finish. 1. The Indians looking for back-to-back shutouts. They threw a shutout in Game 5 of the ALCS in Toronto. Trying to back that up with a shutout here in game number 1 of the World Series. Here comes a 1-0. That's up to Allen right now, and at the moment, Addison Russell. Last time they did it, the Indians as a franchise, 1920. Shutouts thrown in games 6 and 7 over Brooklyn, a team that was then known as the Robins, became the Dodgers, one of their 2 world championships, along with 1948. Here's a 1-1. Strike 2.
You know, a starter's job is to try and navigate and set a hitter up to get through 3 at-bats. Well, when I was closing in a situation like this in a 6-run lead, I never was going to show the opponents what I was going to do to them in a tight situation. That's the only reason I hate 6-0, getting your closer in. I get why they're doing it, 5 days off, but you really don't want to show them the scenarios that in a 1-run game or a much closer game of how you're going to face them. So this is one way you can actually play games with the opponent.
Struck him out, 2 down. And the last hope for the Cubs to extend this will be Miguel Montero.
Now, it did cost me a couple homers, but it worked out later with that same hitter expecting the same pitch. And of course, I didn't deliver the same pitch. When a closer knows he's going to come in a best-of-7 series potentially 4 times to close this out for his team if he's given the opportunities, those are some of the things you think about, especially with a 6-run lead in tonight's game.
So you talk about why are the Cubs the favorite? To me, this is a game where coming in, the Cleveland Indians, they can't miss on the night Corey Kluber pitches. It's like Kershaw with the Dodgers. Joe Madden is in a great position. He comes back with Jake Arrieta and then Kyle Hendricks to back him up, and Lester waiting around for game 4. So the pitching situation will evolve as this series goes. But the advantage is still with the Chicago Cubs because of the depth of that rotation.
Absolutely. If you feel like you're the better team, you just have to have more patience. You knew starting on the road in a hostile crowd against a great pitcher, the goal of any team when they start on the road is what? You got to split. We got to win 1 out of 2. Bare minimum.
Here's a 2-0 pitch. That's a strike. I said Lester tonight's starter in game 4. Meant Lackey, but then you've got Lester coming back around on normal rest in a game 5. So that's where the advantage is. And I really believe it will reveal itself as this series continues. Francona, though, got what he needed here tonight. Terry Francona will go to 9-0 as a manager in the World Series. That's straight 2.
And really the other storyline is if this series does go 5, 6, 7, the usage of the bullpen and the amount that the Indians use it, will that come back later in the series? But right now the formula's been they haven't needed it. They've won 7 games and played 8. This could be 8 and 9.
The 2-2. Indians win game 1. Kluber the winner, 3-1 this postseason. Lester the loser, 2-1 in a 3-hour, 37-minute game.
Tough to win with 14 strikeouts. Credit the Indians pitchers, which they've done all postseason. Striking out a lot of them. 15 times did the Cubs strike out.
Cody Allen struck out the side in the 9th. The Indians get the win with their big ace, Corey Kluber, making the start tonight. Just one other note with regard to Andrew Miller, who threw 46 pitches, the big weapon out of the bullpen for that man, Terry Francona. The last pitcher to throw 46 or more pitches and then pitch the next day in the postseason, Keith Folk, with Terry Francona's 2004 Red Sox during that epic 3-0 comeback against the Yankees. Let's go down to the field and Ken Rosenthal.
Thanks, Joe. Francisco, 2 outs in the first. You singled, you stole second. That started the 2-run rally. Did you feel you rattled John Lester?
I don't know. I was just trying to do my job and continue my plan, continue our plan. And I was capable of getting a good pitch to run. I'm glad he bobbled the ball, and he got me the second time. So,
what was your plan coming in?
No, just stay aggressive, be smart though, be smart, know when to run. Remember, Napoli behind me. He's one of the best hitters in the postseason. Then you got Santana and Ramirez. You know, you got to be smart. You got to know when to run, when not to run. And also, I don't want to be too anxious. And I either want to, people probably knew I was going to run, but I either want to alert more, you know, that I'm going to run. And that, I'm just trying to play my game and play the way we always been playing. And, you know, my teammates helped me a lot.
Francisco, thank you very much. Now over to Tom Verducci.
Thanks, Ken. Roberto Perez, you spent most of the year as a backup catcher, hitting 183. Game 1 of the World Series, you catch a shutout and hit 2 home runs. Describe what this night means for you.
Oh, it means a lot, man. I'm enjoying it. I'm just having fun out there. I have confidence right now going into this game. I was controlling my emotions. I think that was the big part. I think first AP against Lester, I tried to do too much against him, you know, trying to get that bat out of the way. But I mean, it's been an unbelievable night. I can't describe the words right now.
Let's start with Corey Kluber. He gave you 6 innings. He had 24 called strikes in those 6 innings. What's it like to catch him when his ball was moving as much as it was?
It's fun. I think he just attacked hitters. We got ahead of hitters today. I mean, he's been doing that the whole year. I think like I said before, you know, he's our ace. Every time he steps on the mound, I expect big things from him, and I mean, he was awesome. We had a good game plan going on before the game, and we executed pitches, and he was outstanding.
Now, Game 1 winner of the World Series has won 12 of the last 13 World Series. That's recent history. Give me a player's perspective, how important it was for Cleveland to win Game 1.
Oh, I think it's huge, especially, you know, home field advantage. We just got to take care of our home, and you know, we got that first win out of the way. But we got to come back tomorrow with the same mentality. They have good bulk up over there. They're good hitters. But we just got to play baseball like we've been doing the whole year, and just doing what we do.
Roberto, thank you and congratulations.
Thank you.
Back to you.
All right, thanks. 2 for 4 with 4 RBIs tonight for Roberto Perez. Cubs had their chances. 2 out of 15 with runners on, 10 strikeouts. Final 6-0. Kluber over Lester. Let's go to Kevin and the guys. All yours.
Okay, Joe, thanks very much.